My name is Joyce Schuster, and my speech is food for one or food for all. Mommy, I'm hungry. These are the words that single mother Ashley hears every day. But unlike most of us, she can't just open her fridge and pull out food. She sends her kids to bed with watering mouths and pangs in their stomach. Ashley lives in the zip code 75241, and she, like many of her neighbors, struggle with the problems of food inequality. Now, this might sound dramatic, but this is an everyday example of people's real lives. Ashley is just one hypothetical example of the suffering that really exists. Embarking on my second year of food research, I'm using my knowledge about statistics, personal experiences, and interviews with Dallas leaders to create a documentary on food inequality in Dallas. My documentary is a battle parallel to the revolutionary nature of British literature in response to Dallas's utilitarian ethic. First, we're going to examine the utilitarian ethic as applied to Dallas, and then we're going to analyze this documentary as a reactionary call against that ethic. So, although some individuals, like Ashley, may not have access, others, and more others, have tons of access to fresh fruits and vegetables, and this stratification is oftentimes justified by the utilitarian ethic that we're going to discuss in our first main body point. So, utilitarianism is the ethical framework applied to the stratification of Dallas's societal structure. And we're going to look at this in two ways. Firstly, what does utilitarianism mean? Michael J. Sandel writes in his 2007 book, Justice, What is the Right Thing to Do, that utilitarianism is going to be balancing pleasure over pain. Turkin writes in his 1978 journal article, Actual Consequence Utilitarianism, a reply to Professor Singer, sponsored by the Mind Journal, that utilitarianism is going to be taking the course of action that's going to be best for the most individuals, which leads us straight into our second point, that the Dallas model is to maximize happiness for the most amount of people, but not all people. A clear example of this is going to be a 2011 Dallas Morning News article written by Julie Chang, Lack of Grocery Stores Leads to Unhealthy Food Deserts in Southern Dallas, where she writes that this problem exists because of the grocery structure. Grocers put stores in North Dallas because of wealthy clientele, but they avoid South Dallas because they consider it an unstable market. Now, this stratification is justified by utilitarianism because grocers make more money and can therefore make more grocery stores for middle-income neighborhoods, which is going to lead us to our second example of this. This is going to connect to Michael J. Sandel's book once again in his example of the city of Omelas. The city of Omelas doomed one child to suffer so the entire city could live in benefit and happiness. Virtually, the citizens of South Dallas are this child, suffering in food inequality so North Dallas can have a life of plethora and enjoyment. Now, the reality of individuals that suffer to maximize this happiness is what leads me to my work in Dallas, and it's what leads us to our second main body point, which is going to be that this documentary on inequality in Dallas is my personal fight against Dallas's utilitarian ethic. We're also going to look at this in two ways. First is going to be the documentary is going to expose the exploitation and the problems that happen because of food inequality. Sauter and Hess are a clear example of this exploitation that exists. Sauter and Hess write in their 2013 Huffington Post article, The States Where the Most People Go Hungry, 24/7 Wall Street, that Texas is the third leading state where families go hungry. And this is going to go into our second example of Blake's 1794 poem, London. Blake exposes the exploitation that happens because of industrialization. He writes of infant tears, harlots' cries, and the air filled with pain and suffering, and that comes with the benefits of industrialization, which is what this documentary does. But secondly, this documentary is going to be a call to action. It's not only reactionary like Blake, but it's also going to push something into motion. An example of this is going to be Shelley's 1832 poem, Mask of Anarchy, which is written in response to the Peterloo Massacre. In this poem, Shelley inspires people to shake their chains to the earth like dew, and that's exactly what this documentary is doing. This documentary is inspiring people of Dallas to shake off the chains of food inequality and make differences in their own neighborhoods. So, it is this call to action that I hope inspires Dallas to change the structural framework of their city. So in conclusion, This food documentary is a revolutionary and reactionary call to action against Dallas's utilitarian ethic. We saw this through our #1 body point when we applied utilitarianism to Dallas's framework. And then we analyzed it through our #2 body point where we saw that this documentary is a fight against that ethic. Ashley's children shouldn't have to go to bed with hunger pains. Their health should not be pushed to the side so the majority of individuals can maximize utility and maximize happiness. It's my hope that this documentary is a call to action and brings change to Dallas and makes people realize that we can't sacrifice the few. Ashley and her sons represent real people. They are walking the streets of Dallas. They are hungry and they matter. Thank you.